Now I face out, I hold out, I reach out to the truth. All my life seeking the seas of the whole moment till now break away.
Hello and welcome to my 2024 anime tier list. Now we're in mid-January, but this video will always be relevant, so I'm recording it now. Deal with it. I think last year was a really good year for anime. I ended up watching 64 different anime that aired last year and finished 44 of them. So that's a pretty crazy number. I just did the math a little bit ago, and I'm amazed at myself. And that's, of course, on top of all the anime that didn't release last year that I also completed and watched. So I basically watched a shit ton of anime last year. Anywho, let me go over the rankings I have. So in the top tier, I have Binge This Right Now, which is pretty self-explanatory. It means not that it was necessarily the best of the best, but it will include stuff that I think were the best of the best. But it's mostly like, I think you should watch this right away and watch it in as few sittings as possible because it's that good. But of course, that's my opinion. Obviously, this is all my opinion. Next category is highly recommend, which is similar to Binge This Right Now, where like I do highly recommend you go watch it, but like you don't have to binge it. But I do highly recommend you watch it. It was pretty good, is self-explanatory. Basically, like I wouldn't highly recommend it, but it was good. So I do recommend it, but I don't highly recommend it. Average, take it or leave it. Explanatory. Plan to finish are anime that I didn't finish, but I planned to finish because I did like it, but like I wanted to get this out and I didn't have the time to finish the anime, but I plan to go back to it. And then the final category is couldn't finish, which is, as it seems obvious, I didn't finish and I don't plan to finish, and that could change in the future, but at the moment I don't plan to finish it. So, I am a yapper, but since there are literally 64 anime to go over, I'll generally keep comments to a minimum, and I don't plan to summarize the anime either. Alright, let's get started. Alright, first up is Hokkaido Gals Are Super Adorable. And I didn't end up finishing this, so it's in the plan to finish because it was cute. It's just, there's a lot going on and I didn't have the patience to finish it at the time, but I did like it, so plan to finish is where that goes. Next up is the Apothecary Diaries, and this one obviously goes and binge this right now. And the whole reason I even watched this to begin with was I noticed on Crunchyroll, where they have the most pretentious rating system ever, it was a perfect 5. For most part, it was 4.9, but it was a perfect 5 at one point. So I was like, okay, if everyone's saying this is a 5, then I gotta watch this. And I watched it and I loved it. So yeah, binge that right now. Next up is The Weakest Tamer Began a Journey to Pick Up Trash. And I put this in the plan to finish because I never ended up getting past like the first episode. It was highly rated on Crunchyroll too, but I don't know. There's just too many other things going on at the same time. I didn't feel like finishing it. Next up is Mr. Villain Stay Off, and I put this in binge this right now. This was my favorite Iyashikei genre anime of that season. Iyashikei is basically where it's like soothing, calming, that sort of anime when it gives that kind of feeling. So I love that one. I highly recommend, but binge it right now. Next up is The Foolish Angel Dances with the Devil. And I put this in couldn't finish. Nothing against this one. It was kind of funny. It was just, I don't know. Like, I don't like when a guy that is not a bad person is vilified by the female main character. Like, that trope doesn't sit well with me. So, it was funny in the couple episodes that I watched, but in the end, I didn't end up finishing it, and I don't plan to go back to finish it. Next up is Classroom of the Elite. This was season 3, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this and binge this right now. I discovered this anime whenever season 3 was airing, I guess, and I binged the entire thing and caught up, and I loved every minute of it. It's basically like if Yagami Light from Death Note stayed in high school and him manipulating all his classmates rather than it not showing any interaction with his classmates. I'm just realizing that now. But yeah, really good story. Binge it right now. Next up is "'Tis Time for Torture Princess." And I didn't finish this, but I do plan to. So it's going to go into the plan to finish. It was cute and it was funny. It was just getting really repetitive. So I watched like the first couple episodes back to back, and then the next 4 like a few days later, all back to back as well. And it like when it gets really repetitive like that, then you kind of need to space it out more. So I liked it, but like, you know, space out how fast you watch it. Next up is as a reincarnated aristocrat, I'll use my appraisal skill to rise in the world. Jeez, that was hard to say. I put that it was pretty good. It started out pretty strong, and then it wasn't that it wasn't strong throughout. It's just, I don't know, my attention waned, but I would still recommend watching it. It was pretty good. Next up is Fluffy Paradise, and I would also classify this as it was pretty good. It was trying to be an Ayashike where like it was an isekai where she was reincarnated as a child, and her ability she got was to be able to basically pet all the animals, and so she essentially tames a dragon. But like it was all over the place. Like after, you know, the first few episodes where she was just constantly petting animals that should not be pet, but they were friendly with her because she was blessed by the gods or whatever. It became like war focused and like monster taming, but like not in the like cute kind of way. Like she got like this ogre and he evolved. Oh no, he was a goblin first and he evolved eventually into an ogre, I believe. And he became her familiar, and like he wasn't cute, he was hot, but like she had other familiars that she got. But like it was trying to do too much when it was clearly meant to be an Iyashike. So I'll just classify it as pretty good. It did not soothe me after those first few episodes. It started trying to be like from what I saw of that time I turned into a slime or whatever that was called. I never finished that one, but I liked that one. It was trying to do that, but having Iyashike elements to it, which is weird. And next up is, on a similar note, Sasaki to Pichan. That's not the English name, but that's the name I'm gonna call it. This is also an anime that was an Iyashike that was trying to do too much, but I enjoyed this one. It had a lot of different genres, even had like magical girl, it was isekai, there was war stuff, politics, businessman making business deals in another world. Like it could have literally been called all those things, and surprisingly it was just called Sasaki to Pichan, even though it was an Iyashike and even though it was an isekai, and those tend to have long titles. It was all over the place, but I still really liked it. So I mark this one as it was pretty good. Next up is my instant death ability is so overpowered no one in this other world stands a chance against me. And I put this and couldn't finish. I liked it at first in the first episode, but like it's kind of frustratingly not interesting. And so I just couldn't finish it. Wasn't a fan. Next up is Cherry Magic 30 Years of Virginity Can Make You a Wizard. I'll put this in highly recommend. I don't know why I wouldn't put it in binge this right now. I pre-decided all of these tiers, so I don't have to think of it on the fly. I really like this. I watched the live action first and loved it, and then found out there was an anime not too long after, and I watched that as well. I liked it a lot. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. I liked how the endings had the two main characters singing, and certain endings had either one or the other singing, and some of them were a cappella, or not a cappella, but like slow. I like that. I liked everything about the show too, but I like that a lot too. Next up is The Witch and the Beast. I put this in plan to finish. I didn't finish it. It was highly rated on Crunchyroll, so that intrigued me. I watched like the first 2 episodes, liked it a lot, but I don't know. It didn't pull me in to finish it at the time, so I didn't end up finishing it. But I am still intrigued. I do plan to go back to it. Next up is Tadaima Okaeri, which I'm putting in binge this right now. If you like BL, if you like Omegaverse, this was really cute, really nice and emotional, had like some drama parts and whatever, but overall it was very cute, very loving. I'm surprised they adapted Omegaverse BL anime, and I think that's pretty cool that people who aren't deep in the BL space got to experience that as a nicely produced anime. So yeah, binge this right now if you like BL and or Omegaverse. Next up is Buchigiri. I'm gonna put that in couldn't finish. It was so disappointing to me. Like, I was so excited for this. The opening and the ending was good. I love all the colorful art. Animation was good. There's lots of cool characters, kind of homoerotic, the BL adjacent. But the main character was insufferable. And like, I don't have to love the main character, but I have to at least like him since he has the most screen time. I could not get over this dude. Even with the other guy, I think his name was Matakara or something, I liked him a lot more. But like, even with trying to transfer all my likingness to him instead of the main character, I couldn't deal. And I watched a video that broke down the anime and basically was like, yeah, this is trash. So I agree. I'm not gonna finish this. Such a disappointment. What was also a disappointment is the next one, Tales of Wedding Rings. Well, I wouldn't even say it was a disappointment. I wasn't expecting to like this. It was very obviously a harem. I don't typically like harem anime. I like reverse harems, but not regular harems. It was basically ecchi that tried to pretend it had a story, and it was just lame because the MC is kind of annoying. I don't know. I think I watched like the first 2 or 3 episodes, and I was just like, yeah, this isn't good at all. Next up is Villainous Level 99. I may be the hidden boss, but I'm not the demon lord. I put this as highly recommend. I think because I was just trying to not have as many binge this right now, because like, how many anime can any one person binge in any small amount of time? But I really like this one. It was super fun. Another isekai, but like, I mean, I like isekai. I'm not gonna make any excuses for it. Highly recommend. Next up is Dr. Elise, the royal lady with the lamp. I'm gonna put this in plan to finish. I didn't actually finish it. It's actually on my list to finish. I'm on episode 9 because I'm a weirdo like that. I'll stop watching anime 9 out of 12 or 13. But yeah, I liked it. I like doctor shows. I was a big fan of House. Yeah, I plan to come back to it. I don't know, I just lost interest near the end. ADHD things. Next up, Kaiju number 8, putting it binges right now. Don't really have anything to say about it. I mean, it was hype on its own. I don't need to explain that to you. If you didn't hear about it, you were living, what is it? You were under a rock, whatever. Yeah, it was great. And I loved it. Next up is The Elusive Samurai. And I'm putting that in plan to finish. I've been slowly working on this one. I didn't watch it during the season it aired, but I kept hearing it was really good, really beautiful. I watched the first episode and really enjoyed it, so I've slowly been working through it. I'm on like episode 6 or something like that. Yeah, I like it a lot. I just didn't finish it in time for this video, so I can't give it like a real score. But from what I saw, it's really good. I just don't want to rate it without knowing how it ends, because some anime can get really bad towards the end. So, plan to finish, and totally do really plan to finish it. Next up is Seventh Time Loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life married to her worst enemy. I rate this as it was pretty good. I liked it a lot. I don't know, it got kind of boring, I guess, because there was a lot of like political stuff in it, and like that only is interesting if there's like a lot of other intense things that I like going on at the same time. But I did really like this, so it was pretty good. Next up is The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic. I put this in highly recommend. I didn't finish this in the season that it aired. I think I finished it like a couple weeks ago, which I'm recording this on the 18th of January. But I had gone up to like episode 9 in 2024. I stopped watching because like after the episode that showed the background for main character's mentor, I don't know, something about it was just boring to me. So like I lost the interest in watching the rest of it. And you gotta understand, for me, I've got ADHD. I'll lose attention span real quick, but I'm also watching like a ton of anime every season, and like I wouldn't say I have a life, but like I do have other things going on at the same time. I don't just watch anime. So like watching 15 plus anime each season, and then if I'm looking for the smallest reasons to stop watching something. But I do regret stop watching this and not finishing it when it came out, because like the last 3 episodes were fire. I don't know what was wrong with me. This one was a really good anime. Highly recommend. Next up is Mash. How do you pronounce this? I've always said Mashly, but I think it's Mashal, like muscle and magic. I don't know. I put this in binge this right now. Second season had introduced me to Creepy Nuts, who also did the opening to Dandadan. So I don't need to explain too much. This was a really good anime, really funny. Yeah. Next up is A Sign of Affection. Put this in binge this right now. I don't watch a lot of shoujo / romance anime, but like this one was definitely top tier to me. Like Itsuomi was such a green flag. He was so accommodating, so sweet, so caring. Like, he is the standard of anime men in romance anime for me now. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one. Definitely recommend watching and binging. Next up is An Archdemon's Dilemma: How to Love Your Elf Bride. And I put it in, it was pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good. I don't really have much else to say. It was pretty good. I just noticed I don't have anything in this category. There are stuff in this category. It's just, what I've gone to so far have been in other categories. But it's kind of funny that this whole category is still empty. Next up is I was reincarnated as the 7th prince so I can take my time perfecting my magic ability. And I put this in binge this right now. If you can put aside your uncomfortability with the fact that he has hips and he's 10 years old, if you just put that aside, remember your anime bullshit tolerance, this is a really good anime. If you ignore that he's drawn really sexualized, I'm pretty sure I've read that the artist was drew hentai or whatever, so like it's not specifically that he was sexualized, it's more like it's just the art style. Like everyone was drawn in that sort of style where they were more sexualized than they really needed to be, so it wasn't like specifically him. If anything, I like, when I filtered out the hips, he just seemed really adorable. So yeah, if you can get past all of that, binge this right now. It's really good. Next up is A Salad Bowl of Eccentrics. I'm putting this in plan to finish because I do plan to finish it. It was like a modern, I wouldn't even say modern day. It's like a more recent Hinamatsuri. I watched that, really loved that anime. This was definitely like modeled after that, but like I don't know. I watched like the first 4 episodes, and like I said before, I watched so many anime each season that it is hard to keep anime that have lost my attention. So this lost my attention, but I didn't hate it. So I do plan to get back to it eventually. Next up is Re-Monster. I think that's how you say that. I never have to pronounce that out loud. Kingdom Hearts games like to have that re-colon thing. And I just pronounce it as re. I'm putting this in couldn't finish. I was liking it at first. It's an isekai where like becomes a goblin and he like gradually gains the powers by eating things. And I was initially not bothered by it, but before the Crunchyroll comments were nuked, I was reading the comments and a lot of people were like having issues with the way that women, like the women in the show that were captured, they were basically, I wouldn't say used as sex slaves, but like they were definitely taken against their will, I guess you could say. And like it wasn't like traumatic for them. Well, I can't even say that. It wasn't like traumatic for us to see that because they in the end ended up liking him. But I don't know. It kind of didn't sit well with me. So after a while of sitting with that, thinking about that, and realized, yeah, that does actually bother me. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to watch this more. So I'm not finishing it. Next up is Windbreaker. Finished this right away. It was very popular. Don't need to explain that to you. Next up is A Journey Through Another World Raising Kids While Adventuring. I'm putting this in binge this right now as well. I love this anime. That was my favorite Iyashike from that season. That was summer season. I loved it. The kids were cute. The MC was cool. I mean, I wouldn't say cool. He was likable. That's a good word. He's likable. And it was a good anime. Next up is Twilight Out of Focus. I'm putting this in. It was pretty good. It was another BL anime. I liked it a lot in the beginning. It was very good. And then I kind of got like bored of the first 2 couples. There was 3 sets of couples. And then we got to the last couple, and I loved the last couple because the bottom was very funny. So it was pretty good. Next up is Oblivion Battery. Binge this right now. I tend to really like sports anime, and then Miyano Mamoru's performance was amazing and made this anime super funny. So definitely binge this right away. Next up is Alia Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian. I put in, it was pretty good. I liked it a lot in the beginning because it was cute, and I'm still new to like watching a lot of shoujo, so and that's because I don't like the way women tend to be written in anime and manga and manhwa. So I always have like a little stick my nose up, like you have to do a lot to please me. So I liked it in the beginning, and then it got kind of, I wouldn't say boring, but like, you know, once again, I'm watching a ton of other anime at the same time. I really liked the sister. She was very chaotic. But yeah, it was pretty good. Next up is Solo Leveling. I don't need to talk about this. Binge it right now. Next up is Unnamed Memory. I'll put this in plan to finish. I watched like the first 3 episodes, I think, and I really liked the art. I thought the main girl was pretty. I thought the main guy was hot. I even liked his little assistant, even though the comments on Crunchyroll like all hated him, because he was like the voice of reason, because everyone's like not being reasonable, but like acting like they are being reasonable, and he's the only one like, hey, can you not? Like, this is crazy. And I like that kind of character, so I didn't find him annoying. But yeah, my interest for this just kind of fizzled out, but I am still interested in finishing it. Next up is Delicious in Dungeon. I did not finish this, but I plan to. I keep hearing about how it's so good. I watched the first one or two episodes. Really liked it, but I didn't finish it, so I'll get back to it. Next up is Chillin' in Another World with level 2 super cheat powers. I like this a lot, and I'm gonna put in highly recommend. Not too many completes. I liked it a lot. I don't really have too much to say, but I do recommend it. Just, I don't think you need to binge it, but I do highly recommend it if you like isekai. Next up is Bartender Glass of God. I put this in couldn't finish. It was highly rated on Crunchyroll, and I'm always going to reference that because the highly rated anime tend to be good, and like I don't have time to watch every single anime each season, so like I'm filtering based on that first, and if something else catches my eye, even if it's not necessarily super highly rated on Crunchyroll, I'll probably check it out. But like the highly rated on Crunchyroll is definitely my first litmus test. I don't know, this is just boring. I don't know what else to say. It was boring, and I don't really want to continue watching it, so I won't. Next up is Demon Slayer Hashira training arc. It's Demon Slayer, so binge right now if you like Demon Slayer. Not much to say there. I couldn't recognize this picture at first. Next up is I Parry Everything. Binge this right now as well. This was really funny. The first episode, no, I liked all the episodes. I was reading the comments, and a lot of them were like annoyed with how dense the MC was, but I thought he was completely endearing, so I didn't mind how very obviously dense he really was, but I loved it, so I highly recommend to binge right now. Next up is No Longer Allowed in Another World. I will also put this in highly recommend. I like this a lot. It was probably my favorite isekai from last year. Was it? Maybe. Some of these are reincarnation stories. Not all of them are isekai that had like a redemption or whatever. But yeah, I like this one a lot. Highly recommend. Next up is Failure Frame. I became the strongest and annihilated everything with low-level spells. I have this marked as couldn't finish, and I'll put it there, but that could change because I was 9 episodes into a either 12 or 13 episode anime, so it's not even a big deal to finish it. I really loved the first episode. It was definitely setting it up to be like a really good what do you call it? Oh, revenge story. And then I don't remember if the first episode had it, but like the rest of the episodes had really bad CGI. And like it wasn't even just that it was really bad, it was more so that they used it all the time, which makes me feel like they didn't have much animation budget, because I'm assuming from the fact that they use it at all that it like saves them time and money in animation to do CGI rather than to draw it frame by frame or whatever. So it just really felt like the budget wasn't very good for the animation, because they used it way too often. Like sometimes the MC will just be walking in a forest and he'll be CG, and I'm just like, why couldn't you have just drawn this? Why is it CG? CG is usually used for like when you have a shot of like a lot of people walking like towards the school building or something like that, or a far shot from showing like the street with people walking. Like I understand it then, because it's a lot to draw each person. They would usually do like a low res or something, but like they would do CG for like the dumbest shit, and it was so annoying. I tried to pretend like it didn't bother me, but it was, and also it was kind of boring. Like it wasn't revengey enough to me. And there's another anime in here. This year just started, so yeah, it's definitely here. There's another anime in here that did the revenge MC much better. Like I didn't mind the MC himself. It's just the story. It was just not enough revengey things was being done to keep that momentum from the first episode. So that's a lot to say for an anime I couldn't finish, but that could change just because it annoys me that I was so close to the end. But yeah, not fat finishing failure frame. Next up is A Nobody's Way Up to an Exploration Hero, and this is the first in the average take it or leave it category. This was an anime where I would definitely consider it mid, and I don't really like to use that word because the people who normally use it have given it a bad connotation, but like this was by all uses of the definition mid. But I liked it enough that I ended up finishing it, surprisingly enough. I do want to say that he had basically two chibi familiars, and I liked that in the beginning. Well, throughout the whole time, the entire anime, they were like little sisters to him, and like no one was trying to like in anime sexualize them because they looked like children. And so I was even like talking to my friend, I was like, I'm so glad that for once they're not, sexualizing lollies. And then I watched the ending and they're sexualizing the lollies, so I'm just like, ugh. But at least it wasn't in the anime itself. So yeah, take it or leave it. Next up is Dandadan. Smash. Next question. Next up is The Strongest Magician in the Demon Lord's Army Was a Human. I'll put this in, couldn't finish. I watched like the first 2 or 3, I think just the first 2 episodes, and it was cool in the beginning, and then they introduced the maid character who's definitely going to be like the side female MC, and she was very tropey, very ditzy, tropey character, and I was just like, I don't have time. I dropped it right away. I don't care for it. Next up is Yakuza Fiance. I put this in highly recommend. Only reason I didn't put in like binge this right now is because I would have preferred if what was her name? Yoshino. If she was the type of Yakuza member that wasn't sheltered and could fight for herself. Like, it wasn't like she couldn't fight for herself. She did hold her own sometimes, but like she clearly couldn't actually fight. She was just very resourceful. And I would have preferred if she was like at least good with a knife or something like that. You know what I mean? That was my only gripe. I otherwise did really like the show. Next up is The Magical Girl and the Evil Lieutenant Used to Be Arch Enemies. Binge this right now. This was another Iyashikei that I loved. It was so cute and sweet. I love Ono Yuki as a voice actor. He did the Guy MC. I love this one. That's all I gotta say. Next up is Wisteria Wand and Sword. Also binge this right now. This was like beautifully animated, beautiful art. It's very Harry Potter-esque. It also reminded me of, well, I guess I could say it reminded me of Mashle because I watched that first. But only in the sense that they're both like clearly influenced by Harry Potter. But I used to be a Harry Potter fan growing up. Yeah, really good. Binge it right now. Next is Why Does Nobody Remember Me in This World? I'm putting this in couldn't finish because it started out pretty good, but then who was being set up as the female MC, she was kind of annoying. Like she was that very typical tropey, ditzy female archetype that annoys me because she could have just very well not been written that way. So I was just like, I don't have patience for this. I'm just not gonna watch. So I did. Ranma half, binge this right now. I love the original. Excuse me. I love the original. This was really good too. I once again hate Akane. But that didn't deter me from the show. So definitely go watch it. It was almost like I don't remember everything from the original show. I watched it. Like, I don't know, 15 years ago at this point. I had the VHS And that's how you know how old it is and how old I am. Of like the first 2 or 3 episodes. Um, and then I watched the other ones like from torrenting or whatever. But it felt like a 1-to-1 for at least the very first few episodes. I don't really remember with the ones past like episode 4 or whatever. But yeah, really good. And I love that Yamaguchi Kappei reprised his role as Ranma. I can't imagine anyone else as Ranma, so I'm glad he did. Next up is Kamo Hashiran's Forbidden Deductions Season 2. This is a highly recommend. If you love Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright, then you'll love this show. The cases are just as ridiculous in a good way. Next up is Senpais and Otokonoko. Highly recommend this if you are a fan of BL trans stuff. It's about him discovering his identity and how he traumatizes his mother because she's a weak little bitch, and like gender euphoria, gender dysphoria. It's very beautiful. I love it. Highly recommend. Binge it right now. Next up is Demon Lord 2099. Also recommend to binge this right now. I was wary at first when he started streaming because I thought it was going to get kind of dumb. But it ended up being really good. They didn't focus a lot on streaming. It was mostly about him in the real world, not playing video games. But the streaming was an aspect that was not irrelevant, if you understand what I'm saying. So I like this a lot. Binge it right now. Next up is Goodbye Dragon Life. This was the next average take it or leave it. It was another anime that I would definitely use mid to describe. Like, I didn't hate it, but like it was started out really strong for me, and then it just was, mid. It was also kind of ruined by random lolly character that could have very easily have just as well been an adult character. And I kind of want to do a video talking about when lolly characters ruin an anime. She was definitely inspiration for that idea, that video idea. But I mean, I didn't hate it. It's just, average take it or leave it. Next up is My Dear Friend Nokotan. I couldn't finish this, which is a shame because I fully expected to love it. I love chaotic, humorous anime. But the second I could just barely make it through the second episode. Like, they did a quiz show, and like, I normally do like Japanese humor, but like, I don't know. It was just like the kind of Japanese humor where like you need to have been steeped in the culture of Japan to even find it funny. And even then you'd have to be the certain kind of person. And I'm telling you, I do like Japanese type humor. I like the straight man, the manzai, I think it's called, where there's a straight man, not like sexually straight man, but like the serious guy and then the chaotic one. I really like that comedy style. I love when there's a straight man in any anime. That character usually tends to be one of my favorites. But like, this wasn't that kind of Japanese humor, and I just didn't enjoy that quiz show, and like, I couldn't get past it, and I didn't feel a need to. It was giving like Excel Saga vibes, if any of you remember that. But like, I don't know, that quiz show episode really turned me off, so not finishing that. Next up is the Osan newbie adventurer trained to death by the most powerful party became invincible. This is another binge this right now. I love this. I love this. This was another one where there was a straight man character and the character was a woman technically. Forgot her name, like Felicia or something like that. Where like everyone was insane, as the title implies like the main character was trained by a very powerful party that made him invincible, to just use the words that are provided to me already. And so when he does crazy stuff so casually, so this aired at the same time as I Parry Everything, and a lot of people were comparing it and they were saying this one was better because he does eventually stop being dense and realizes he's powerful. I didn't mind when he didn't think he was powerful. I think that's a funny comedic prop or whatever element. I don't know. So that sort of thing doesn't bother me as long as it's done well. He does eventually realize he's strong, and so he briefly, towards the end, trains the straight man character, Felicia or whatever her name was, and like whenever she's criticizing him for being ridiculous, those scenes were always really funny. Overall, the whole anime was really funny, so that's why it's in Binges right now, because I think you should binge it right now. Blue Lock Season 2, obviously in Binges right now as well. A lot of people had problems with the animation, like it was basically not a lot of animation. And like, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't notice. Because, I don't know, sometimes, like there's a lot of talking. And so there's a lot of like, not freeze frames, but like frames where obviously they have to slow down time to allow for the character to explain their whole plan and all their thoughts and whatever. So like there was always a lot of that. I don't remember how much there was of that in the first season, but like that's very common in sports anime anyway. I guess it was worse than usual because a lot of people were complaining about that. I honestly didn't even really clock it, and if I hadn't seen the discourse about it, I would have been shocked when I saw it after I'd watched the anime. But I loved it. I love how Blue Lock is like unintentionally, but at the same time very intentionally really gay, and like the additional time after after scenes were all unhinged, absolutely unhinged. I don't know, but like they're absolutely unhinged. I love them. Yeah, binge right now. Last two episodes, I guess, were insane. I saw people saying they put the entire animation budget into those last few episodes, and it was super hype. I had a great time. I'm sure most people had a great time that stuck it out and weren't worried about the PNG animation, as people were saying. Next up is How I Attended an All Guys Mixer. And I'll say this first, well, binge right now. I'll say this, that I was hoping this was BL, but I wasn't. I was initially disappointed to find out that, spoiler for the first episode, but like it's the whole point of the show, so it's not really as big a deal to spoil it. 3 guys go to a mixer, and the 3 girls that are supposed to meet up with them, they all work at a danshi bar, which basically means like they cross-dress as guys. And so they're all cross-dressers, and for whatever reason they thought it was appropriate to go to the mixer in their cross-dressed state. So they were still they were in their male clothing, but also kind of still acting like they would at the bar. And so the guys were all having like bi-panic crisis. But yeah, they were women. They're not trans or non-binary or anything like that. They were just cross-dressing straight women. I mean, they could be bi, I don't know, but the point is that they were cis women that liked men. There was no gay. But I still liked it. It was funny in spite of that. One of them, I don't remember his name, the guy who never opens his eyes, he was having the worst bi panic, and he annoyed me so much. But, I guess next season we'll see their relationship blossom some more. But yeah, binge right now. we're on to the last 6, so hold on to your pants. We're almost done. Next up is the healer who was banished from his party is in fact the strongest. This one is another that is an average take it or leave it. I was so done with this anime by the time I finished it. I don't know why I stuck with it because it was literal definition of mid. It had one of my most hated tropes where the MC was going, berserk, crazy, beating up the villain. And then the annoying female MC was like, no, you gotta stop or you'll never be able to come back. And so he stops beating up the villain. And it's like, why would you, what? Okay. Yeah, I just barely managed to finish this one. I don't know why I even forced myself to, but I did. So, take it or leave it. Oh, I also hated the naming convention for the episodes. I don't know how the Japanese worked. It probably wasn't as annoying in Japanese, but the way to translate it in English was every title had is in fact like a statement, and then is in fact, and then another statement. And so every episode title was like that. It was just so annoying. Imagine I don't know. It was just super annoying to me every time I saw it. It took a lot of willpower to finish it, and I don't know why I did because it wasn't worth it to finish it. Next up is I'll Become a Villainess Who Goes Down in History. Highly recommend. I like this one a lot. It was kind of weird in the beginning when the male MC was flirting with the female MC when she was a child and he was basically a teenager. But they're all royal nobles, so royalty/nobles. So I guess that's normal behavior for them, but I don't know, it bugged me. But once she got older, it was not as weird. The age gap was not as important. So I like that one a lot. Next up is The Do-Over Damsel Conquers the Dragon Emperor. This is another highly recommend. I like this one because it seemed like it was going to be kind of serious because there's some crazy stuff they introduced in the beginning, some really dark elements and incest and weird shit like that. But it ended up being really funny, which I liked a lot. My biggest gripe is that they literally had it as plot purposes that she had to be 10 years old, and that it's a reincarnation story. She had to be 10 years old instead of, I don't know, at least 16, or no, she died at 16. So she went back in time. She was reincarnated and went back in time. So instead of her at least being I don't know, 14 and just looking more mature, they had her as a 10-year-old for some god-awful reason. And there was actually a plot reason for that. But it's sure, there was a plot reason for it, but it could have just as easily been an older age. And so it could have they could have had her original age be 20 or 18 or something like that. And then she could have gone back in time to be 16. That would, I mean, it's still minor, but this is medieval, so that's less of an issue. That would have been way more desirable because she was 10 and she looked like a 10-year-old, but because she didn't act like a 10-year-old, everyone kind of didn't treat her like a 10-year-old. They kind of treated her as a 16-year-old because she just had that aura, because she hadn't regressed in mind or anything. So she was basically acting like herself when prior to her dying as a 16-year-old. So everyone treated her like a 16-year-old, but then there's still the random moments where they're yeah, she's a child. And I don't know, any romance parts were ruined because she's in the body of a 10-year-old. So I got through this only because everyone treated her like a 16-year-old, or of a, for that era, matured woman. But I don't know, that was an anime that I definitely needed a high anime bullshit tolerance for. But other than that, which was a big part and literally plot related, I really liked this anime, and I do highly recommend if you have a high bullshit tolerance. All right, last three. So next up, the most notorious talker runs the world's greatest clan. I watched this when there was 10 episodes out because I, randomly decided to pick it up. I love this. This is the exact kind of MC that I like a no bullshit kind of anti-hero, morally gray. This was a good revenge story. Like it wasn't really that he was getting revenge a lot. He got revenge like in the beginning, and like it was very satisfying when he got the revenge. And like he kept that kind of energy, whether he was getting revenge or not. Like he kept that kind of energy throughout the entire anime. I loved it. Yamashita Daiki, who also does Deku from My Hero Academia, he does really good, like, good MCs, and also like, morally gray MCs. Like he has really good range. I love him as a voice actor. He did this character very well. So, yeah. Oh, I put this in highly recommend, but honestly, it could go in binges right now. In fact, you know what? I'm going to put it in binges right now. I think I moved it only because I was trying to have less in that category. Just because, as you can see, I have recommended to binge quite a lot of anime. But it deserves to be in that spot. I literally did binge it and then watched the last 2 episodes when they came out because I had caught up. It was very good. Next up is Let This Grieving Soul Retire. I love this one, and I'm going to put in highly recommend. I also watched this right around the same time that I started Notorious Talker. And it's basically like, if you've seen, what's that anime called? Eminence of Shadow. If you've seen that, it's like that where like, so in Eminence of Shadow, he's basically a chunibyo, which is like a kid who, you know what, just look that up. Or maybe I'll put the definition on the screen. But like, he's a chunibyo, and so he's like pretending to be powerful, and he is powerful, but everyone thinks he's super serious, and he doesn't think they think he's serious. I don't know how to describe it. Just watch that. That's very good. But it's basically like that. Whereas in Let This Grieving Soul Retire, he's not strong, but no one will listen to him. And so when he like does things that happen to have good consequences, they attribute that to him, I don't know, he is lucky. I won't say he's not lucky, but because everyone around him is powerful and they won't listen to him when he says that he's not powerful, the decisions he ends up making always end up working in everyone's favor because the people around him are powerful. I don't know, that's the bad way to describe it, but this was really fun. I was laughing my ass off the whole time. It's very similar to Eminence in Shadow, except the MC is not strong. So if you like that, you'll definitely like this. And last but not least, and this one's still technically airing because it's a 24 episode anime as opposed to a normal single core 12 or 13 episode, is Terrified Teacher at Ghoul School. And I also put this in highly recommend. This is an anime I may have missed. I would have missed if I was solely going off of Crunchyroll ratings, because it was like okay, so to explain the Crunchyroll system, it's so the way everyone rates anime is like, they don't even there's 5 stars and they don't even utilize the other 3 stars. Like if an anime has the 3-star rating, even 3.9, like that anime's trash. That shouldn't be how it is because there's 5 stars. Everyone rates within the 4 for some reason. So I'd say from like 4.7 and up to 5, which it's rare to get a 5. You'll get some 4.9s, but it's rare to get a 5. 4.7 to up to 5 is like really good. You more than likely will enjoy the fuck out of it. 4.6, 4.5 average, but probably it's probably like less mainstream popular, but it's probably really good for the type of people that like that particular kind of anime. And then 4.4 down to 4 is kind of trash. And then literally anything below 4 is absolute trash. Like, why did this even get greenlit for an anime kind of trash? That's the way the rating system on Crunchyroll works. So this has like a 4.4 on Crunchyroll, I think. Let me check. Yeah, as you can see, it has a 4.3 rating, which generally means that it's probably trash. Like, that's the normal way you can interpret that sort of rating on Crunchyroll. However, I love it. It's, I would say, to the kind of person who doesn't naturally flock to this kind of anime, it would be, no, I wouldn't even say it's mid. Like if I didn't like this exact kind of anime, I probably would have put it in, it was pretty good. I still wouldn't even put it in the mid category. It's gonna be hard for me to watch a truly mid anime. Like, I don't have the patience for that. I'm watching too many other anime to waste my time with a truly mid anime. So that's why there's only like 3 on here. And 2 of them I, genuinely liked, but they were genuinely mid. But like this, I love this kind of humor. It's like chaotic and goofy and wholesome. But like, I wouldn't even say low budget. It's not low budget. But it has like it doesn't look low budget. I want to stress that. But like, I don't know, maybe the storyboard kind of has a low budget aesthetic. I guess what I'm saying is, like, there doesn't seem to be like much plot. It doesn't have to have plot. I don't know what I'm saying. I love this anime. Highly recommend. It's not done, so I can't say to binge it right now, but I liked it a lot. I don't know what else I need to say about it. So that's my list. As you can see, I do not have time for average anime. Most of the anime that I've finished, I think, are really good. There's a lot that I highly recommend, and a bunch that I think were pretty good, and a bunch I need to get on finishing, and not an insignificant amount that I dropped, but not a super significant amount either. But yeah, that's my list. Hope you enjoyed this long ass video. Okay, thanks, bye.